greatwallrestaurant.us.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Broadcasting live from the studios of AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and streaming live right now on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@TheGailey This is The Gailey Show. I'm your host, JP Derbogosian. Hello, executive producer Jim Pounce.
How you doing? I want to apologize for that spot that was on just a few minutes ago.
Well, you can't apologize for it, but yes, Chick-fil-A.
Look.
But in the studio with us is Patrick today. Hey, Patrick, how you holding up?
Doing pretty well. I guess I get so into my job, I was zoned out. I didn't even hear that happen.
Oh, good. Hopefully nobody else did either.
Well, our call-in number today is 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205, or you can chat with us on our YouTube live stream. What is on the show today? So it may seem insignificant, but claiming power at any level, be it library boards, school boards, joining the boards of nonprofits, and yes, running for office is what we all need to be doing right now. We're going to talk about the how of that. Setting boundaries for safeguarding our mental health is more crucial than ever. We're going to talk about that as well. A gay Cuban Trump supporter is about to get deported. Wow. But first, we've got some breaking news for you. So first, I want to say that the AP News is reporting that there is now 7 families of transgender and non-binary children have filed a lawsuit today over Trump's executive order to halt federal support for gender-affirming healthcare for transgender people under the age of 19. The AP News is reporting that PFLAG, a national group for family of LGBTQ plus people, and GLMA, Gay and Lesbian Medical Association, a doctor's organization, they are plaintiffs in the suit. They filed it in Baltimore. Last week, there was the executive order calling on the federal government to stop funding medical care through any government-run health insurance program, which included Medicaid and TRICARE. One of the plaintiffs in the case is Kristen Chapman. The AP News is saying that in their reporting that her family moved to Richmond, Virginia from Tennessee in 2023 because of that state's ban on gender-affirming care for children under the age of 19. Her daughter had an initial appointment scheduled for last week with a new provider who would accept the family's Medicaid health coverage, but because of the executive order, the hospital said that it would not provide care. So the ACLU and Lambda Legal, AP News is also reporting, are representing the plaintiffs as well. They want a judge to put the order on hold. That hasn't been ruled on yet. We will keep you up to date on this story. We also know that the New York Attorney General, Letitia James, told hospitals in her state on Monday that it would violate the law if they stopped offering gender-affirming care to people under the age of 19. So keep it tuned here for folks that are tuning in. Families and the PFLAG and GLMA have filed a suit in Baltimore federal court to block the gender-affirming, the executive order stopping federal government health insurance programs, Medicaid and TRICARE, from offering gender-affirming care for those under 19.
Did you just tell that story twice?
There. Well, it is big news. I'm glad that we finally have a lawsuit on that.
Yep.
Also, breaking news today, The Advocate is reporting in an exclusive reporting that the Human Rights Campaign is going to lay off 20% of their staff. This is sad to see that. 20% of their staff is about 50 employees. They will found out about it today, and shockingly, they are going to be out of a job a week from tomorrow, so February the 12th. The Advocate was reporting that the Human Rights Campaign was having huge fundraising years. In 22 and in 23, they were outpacing their fundraising goals by not insignificant numbers. But last year, the election year, they had a $12 million deficit. So the board had tasked HRC President Kelly Robinson to find a way to balance the budget. In the Advocate reporting, the officials claim that they looked at a number of different options to balance the budget, which include employee attrition, aka employees leaving the organization on their own for reasons other than being fired and then not filling those positions, looking at trying to increase revenue, and also paring down existing program expenses. They claim, though, that didn't save the money they would need to balance the budget, and so those layoffs are now forthcoming. The employees are represented by the Service Employees International Union, so they have been alerted as well, and I imagine that the next steps is that the union and HRC will work together. This comes as corporations like Walmart, McDonald's, Tractor Supply Company, and others have announced that they will no longer participate in HRC's Corporate Equality Index. However, this has kind of got lost in the reporting on that. The Human Rights Campaign in their 2025 Corporate Equality Index saw participation from over 1,400 businesses last year, which included 72 new companies who joined the rating index that they offer. So yes, while we see big companies abandoning DEI and also abandoning LGBTQ metrics and assessment, like Walmart, McDonald's, Tractor Supply Company, among others, I'm happy to see, rather, 72 new companies participating
This
in
is,
the.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but this is the core problem, just backing away from the specifics, is the corporations are no longer on our side by and large. Now, some are, of course, some aren't. But
Well, I mean, 1,400.
But if a company is not participating in the index and did, or if a company is not Target donating to Pride as a sponsor, but did, those, you need to look into your own spending, your own activity as a consumer and say, I'm doing this with Chase, my charge card, who funds a lot of environmentally damaging programs. And we need to make changes in who we spend money with. And as I said yesterday, donations to individual organizations like HRC, like GLSEN, who also put out an email in the last day, which talked about their rather dire situation and urging people to become monthly supporters. You really need to think about your priorities in terms of where you shop, who you do business with, and where your activities are. Like we've talked about social media on Twitter and Instagram. Should you be there? Should you be supporting Elon Musk? I would say no, but you really need to go through that self-assessment. When you feel powerless, there's a lot you can do as an individual that will have a positive effect if lots of people do it.
Yes, but I do want to say that there are a number, 1,400 businesses, 72 new ones participating in the HRC Corporate Equality Index. So I know there are a lot of big ones and they're getting all the attention right now, but there are still a number of folks that are supporting and joining the effort to be better, having better workplace cultures around LGBTQ employees.
Right.
I will say briefly, and I'm kind of collecting my thoughts on this still, and I want to talk about it on programs maybe later in the spring, because I want to be mindful of how I'm going about doing this. But I'm saying this as a former chief diversity officer within higher education. DEI was meant to be changed from within to make a more equitable workplace and to be better stewards of resources and to be better neighbors within communities, even for those big multinational corporations. But if they are going to walk away from this, then, and now we see reporting that Musk wants to get rid of all federal regulations. If they're going to go down this route, they better hope that we never get back in power again, because I'm kind of, did DEI go as far as it could? And then they are like, no, forget you, we're just going to drop this altogether. Then we may be needing to look at other levers of power. I know I did talk about this a little bit, but I still want to gather my thoughts around this more, around, the response that's going to come from progressive government when we reclaim power again. I want to also kind of put the HRC reporting in context as well, that this is coming off of the Trevor Project. They also had to lay off employees in January of this year, which actually followed a round of layoffs for the organization last spring. Christopher Kane at the Washington Blade was reporting last year that the Trevor Project laid off 6% of its staff in April 2024, and they laid off 12% of their staff in 2023. Now, obviously, you can imagine with that going on, there have been allegations of financial mismanagement, but the reporting there that I want to focus on is that they have had 3 instances, January of this year, April of 2024, and then the previous year where they've been laying off employees. HRC is saying that they want to refocus their programming and their efforts moving forward, having a large part of that around communications and media. So obviously we'll see how that moves forward. And then the Trevor Project was saying that they want to refocus their efforts more onto their 24/7 crisis lines, and as well as providing direct support to LGBTQ young people in crisis. But if you're just joining us, the breaking news happening today that HRC is announcing that they are going to have to lay off 20% of their staff, approximately 50 people. And also breaking news that a court challenge to Trump's executive order calling on a ban for gender-affirming health care for trans kids under the age of 19. A lawsuit rather from PFLAG and GLMA has been filed in Baltimore federal court, and they have asked the court to put a pause on that order until the suit has been heard in front of the court. So we will obviously be following both of those stories as we get updates from them. So be sure to keep it here. We are going to be coming up on a break, so I don't want to start our next story, but we're going to talk. We're going to talk about Hector Luis Valdez Cocho, who has been arrested by the local authorities in Florida and been turned over to ICE. We're going to get into that story, what's going on there. And then after that, we're also going to be talking about self-care. It's a lot what's happening right now. There's a lot going on, and we're going to have to find ways of taking care of ourselves and pacing ourselves, because this is going to get a lot more ugly before it gets better. And so we want to make sure that we are providing that space for us to be good activists and good progressives moving forward. So even how I'm trying to think about that in my own mind, you can see there I'm stumbling over my words. But we're going to take a short break here. More with The Gailey Show. Be sure to support our sponsors. Tell them you heard about them on The Gailey Show.
Next time on Philosophy Talk, liberty and justice for who?
According to classic British liberalism, people have the right to self-govern because we're born free, equal, and capable of rationality.
But that same liberalism was used to justify empire.
So how could a British pro-freedom philosophy end up taking freedom away from so many people, Josh?
What are you looking at me for?
Liberty and justice for who? Next time on Philosophy Talk.
Catch Philosophy Talk every Sunday morning at 8 on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Hey, it's Patrick. February is the month for love, so when was the last time you gave your carpet the love and attention it deserves? Have you gotten down on your hands and knees and adored how clean and refreshed it was, or are you scared of what you might see or smell? Not only is your carpet one of the biggest investments in your home, but it's also the biggest air filter in your home. If your carpet hasn't been professionally cleaned, you are breathing unhealthy levels of nasty dirt, dander, bacteria, and germs that keep recirculating again and again and again. But lucky for you, my friends at Zero Res are going to spread the love to you and your home with their Love Your Rug special. Get 3 rooms Zero Resified starting for just $119 and get a 4th room free. But don't forget dirt and dander's favorite hiding place either, your air ducts. This month, take $75 off any air duct cleaning. Call Zero Res right now, 952-ZERO-RES, or go online to ZeroResMinnesota.com and say you want the AM 950 special. Back order forward, it spells the same, Zero Res.
Hello, I'm Todd Mickelson, host of a Satellite View podcast. It's hard to find clarity or focus here on the ground with the fire hose of issues and events. We go up high and look back on Earth from a satellite view, where we can gain our bearings and learn from the past to shoot for a better future. and have fun and laughs along the way. Go to am950radio.com, click the programs link, and find a satellite view with Todd Mickelson.
Hi, I'm Scott Shambot from Shambot Family Dentistry. We're the fear-free, shame-free dental office. We know dental anxiety and dental phobia are real. We'll take the time to get to know you and give you what you need to be comfortable at all times. We offer free nitrous oxide laughing gas and have high-tech options to help you feel calm and relaxed during your appointments. We'll help you get through every appointment in the most pain-free way possible. If you're having a dental emergency, we'll try and get you in the same day you call because we don't like to see anyone in pain. As my daughter Rachel says,
if you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth because they're the only ones you get.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I've been going to Shambot Family Dentistry for years. They get me in last minute when I'm in pain and make regular checkups easy and comfortable.
Shambot Family Dentistry in Hopkins and St. Paul. Find them online at shamblotfamilydentistry.com or call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH.
Welcome back to The Gailey Show on AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and streaming live on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@TheGailey I am your host, JP D'Arbrigosian. It is 21 minutes past the hour. Our call-in number is 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Okay, so obviously the news is coming in hard and fast, and all of it sucks. The vast majority of it is terrible right now. Not all of it. Happy to see that court cases are finally being filed. But how are you and I and other queer people going to pace ourselves and make sure that we're taking care of ourselves as we are? It's only been 2 weeks. It feels like it's been 2 years, and we still have 4 more years of this and 2 years until the midterm elections in November of 2026. So I wanted to talk about various things that I do. I wanted to talk about various things that I've researched folks doing. And one thing that I thought was very interesting was the idea of creating a contract with yourself when it comes to self-care. One thing that comes up a lot is, what is self-care for you as it relates to social media? Now, this can take different types of forms. It can be creating times when you won't look at social media. So I was really bad at looking at my social media accounts before going to bed. So lots of doom scrolling before bed. And eventually I had to say, no, I'm not going to do that. And I had to also make a contract with myself not to look at social media when I got up in the morning, because it would be like debilitating. I go through all this news and see all these, responses to what's going on and think like, why should I even, get up? So those are 2 things that I contract with myself, that I do not look at my social media before I go to bed, and I don't look at it when I get up in the morning as well. I wait until I've had my chai.
May I speak about I do sort of the same thing. I have a limit in my mind of how many posts I'm going to make on Facebook, which helps me not just go on and on and on, which I could easily do. I can't remember what the number is, like 3. I feel like once I get up to 3, I'm like, okay, shut up now. And I also am finding that I try to speak for myself, and I don't read a lot of I don't go scrolling down other people's opinions about stuff, because I feel like I have something to say and then I'm going to go do something else. Do you know what I mean? I make it more singular rather than get engaged in an ongoing round robin. I'm trying to avoid that, which I think is very unhealthy. I agree with you.
I limit myself actually when I comment on something. I will limit to how far I will engage on it.
Right.
And I think it's like mine is 3. Once I've posted 3 times, beyond that, I'm like, just text me.
Yeah.
We will have a conversation. Otherwise, I'm not going any farther than this.
Right.
So yeah, that's an interesting way of creating a self-contract with yourself, is limiting how you're going to post. I've also seen people say that they won't let themselves respond in the moment. So if they see a piece of news that is just really distressing to them, or they see, comments or whatnot that are distressing to them, and they want to immediately like fire off a response to it, that they'll say, wait, no, let me bookmark that or let me save that. And then I'll come back to it in a few hours when I've had sort of time to kind of process or think about it. Blue Sky doesn't have this. I wish they did drafts. I used to have, when I was a few years ago on Twitter, I would write stuff out and then I put it in a draft, and then I would come back to it later. So before I posted it, I would hold on to it. And that was a really interesting thing to do, because it was sort of that, who was that? Was that Lincoln that gave that advice of, when you're angry at someone, write a letter to them, but don't send it, and then come back later and look at the letter and see if you still feel the same way. And that was, what I did as well with my social media. Blue Sky, you can't do the drafts bit of it. So for me, I sort of try to, hang on. Sometimes I'm not very good at it, but I have at least given myself that contract of no social media after 9 p.m. and no social media when I get up in the morning. That's sort of my thing.
I think it's also healthy though, and I've done this a little bit, and it's made me feel good. So I'm paying attention to things that make me feel good, because there aren't very many. But when somebody states something that is categorically false, then I know for a certain fact that I can add to that conversation and say, here are the actual facts. Here was the court case in 2010. I found that empowering, because many people are saying, how can this possibly be going on? How can this? And I agree with you in some things, but some of the things that are happening are because of a court case or a situation that worked against us. And so adding that factual information, I think, is a good use of my time.
Yes. And again, that caveat is that I will engage 3 comments in with somebody. I'm not going to get into a huge debate with somebody on that. Something I've also seen is putting your accounts on private. Again, that's not something you can really do on Blue Sky, but you can. They give some robust features around blocking people and doing it on mass. But you, and also I believe you can turn on and off for each post. You can decide, do I want can people respond to my post or not? Which I think is a really interesting idea, as well as determining, not only putting something out there that you want to share, but do you want people to even reply to that? Unfortunately, yet Blue Sky hasn't created that ability for you to sort of lock down your accounts like Instagram had, like Facebook has, where you can literally just make it private to the people that you follow. But that is one way that I've seen people making a contract with themselves of how to keep it, social media to be good for them. Another thing, and I did this with my own personal Instagram account, was really trying to instruct the algorithm to give me very specific content. So when I opened up Instagram, I was getting Golden Girls videos and clips. I was getting cats. I was getting funny clips from TV shows, funny bits from award shows. But I think that was very specific, because I knew then when I opened my Instagram account, which I don't have anymore because forget you, Meta. But when I was going in there, I knew that it was going to be some levity around that I was going to have, some positive things. And so that's what I'm trying to do right now with my personal Blue Sky account, as I'm not doing politics there. I am not doing, news stuff there. I'm only doing things and following people towards, interests that I have, and trying to sort of filter out, teach that algorithm, or it's not really an algorithm there, but another way that I'm trying to create that self-contract.
Yeah, I think our household has gotten rid of all of its Twitter, all of its Instagram, all of its threads, and we're still working on Facebook.
Yeah.
But, those things are hard to do, but there again, you want to do something that makes you feel good, kill your Instagram account. You will feel good about yourself. You'll go, well, at least I did that. Take that, Elon Musk. So, or Zuckerberg, or whoever, you know what I mean?
All of them.
Yeah,
all of the above.
All of the above.
We are going to take a break here, but afterwards we're going to talk about, in terms of self-care and creating contracts, queer joy. Is it something that we can still do? Yes, it is. So we're going to take a break. Be sure to connect with our sponsors and advertisers. Tell them that you heard about them on The Gailey Show on AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Minnesota. This is Tom Hartman, and you can catch me every weekday from 11 to 2 right here on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's smart radio for smart people.
At Queermunity, savor our seasonal menus from our chef, June Day, a James Beard Awards semifinalist. We feature locally sourced foods grown and produced by queer and BIPOC farmers. A full-service cafe offering your favorite cold brew coffees, hot teas, cider spritzes, and our very own house-made chai lattes. Start your day with our smoked bacon and egg breakfast sandwiches served on a biscuit with chipotle mayo and cheddar cheese. Vegan? Try our vegan sausage, egg, and cheese. For lunch, pair our seasonal salads and soups with a caprese panini served on Rose Street baguettes. Try one of our chickpea salad sandwiches, or enjoy the comfort of our grilled cheese with mouth-watering provolone, cheddar, and Gruyere melting on Rose Street breads. We serve sweet and savory pastries, and check out our new bar menu featuring local beer, wine, and custom double hard seltzers. Mention AM 950 at the cafe register for a free beverage with entree purchase. The Queermunity Cafe is open 7 days a week, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. More info at queermunitymn.com. If you go to shoprainbowrd.com, you will find an amazing variety of adult novelties. Literally thousands of items that you can peruse in the privacy of your home and have shipped to your door. Plus, in the store, you can find swimwear, casual wear, underwear, everywhere. Rainbow Road is located at 109 West Grand Street near Loring Park. Gift cards are available for the hard to shop for. Go to shoprainbowrd.com.
Connections Radio Show is all about tapping into our hardwired hunger to connect. We examine meaningful connections to ourselves, our community, and the world around us. By opening the door to innovative insights by a wide variety of interesting guests, we'll make the connections to something bigger than ourselves. Join me, Lori Fitz, your host of Connections Radio Show, and together we'll make the connections. Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Experience a brand new musical bursting with imagination and surprises. In Milo Imagines the World, a wildly creative young boy spends his time on a crowded train car, imagining the lives of the passengers around him, and sees his dreams come to vivid life in the form of vibrant songs and energetic dance numbers, with tunes ranging from pop to hip-hop to country. You won't want to miss this stunning new production that the Chicago Reader called an absolute delight. Milo Imagines the World is on stage at Children's Theater Company beginning February 4th. Get your tickets today at childrenstheater.org.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for cloudy skies today with a high near 12, tonight cloudy with a low around 9, and Wednesday light snow with a high near 27. For bold Szechuan and Mandarin dishes, try the Great Wall Restaurant. From sesame chicken to Peking duck, there's something for everyone that enjoys Chinese cuisine. Visit 4515 France Avenue South or call 952-927-4439 for takeout and explore their full menu at greatwallrestaurant.us.
You're listening to AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota. This is The Gailey Show, or you're watching us on our YouTube channel. Hey, on youtube.com/@TheGailey I'm JP D'Arbrigosian. In studio with me is executive producer Jim Pounds. How are you creating a self-contract for your own self-care starting now, and how you're going to get through the next few months, 4 years? Call us 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. We were talking before the break about rules, boundaries around social media. Also, that extends to that is news consumption. So news consumption. No News Fridays. That's something that I've been doing. I've been seeing folks talking about that on Blue Sky. No News Fridays. Before the election, I was also consuming a lot of news websites. So I was going to Politico and AP and Reuters and MSNBC and NBC News and CNN and France 24. And it was just, I was going to a lot of different sites and I would just like fly through them. And now I'm limiting myself to one, which is AP News. They are a gold standard in journalism. And so I check them out. I do go to ProPublica as well, but that's for more of that long form journalism that I'm a nerd for. And so I love, data, and I love the way that they really dive into a particular story. So that's one contract that I've made with myself, is that I go to those two sites only. But a lot of folks I've been seeing of the idea of how can we have queer joy? Is queer joy still a form of self-care? Does it feel wrong to say that let's find a time to enjoy ourselves and watch a movie or, take a bubble bath or, hang out with friends and go to happy hour? Like, is that wrong? Shouldn't we be looking at the news and calling our senators and writing to our congressperson and writing out signs with markers to go to a protest? Well, yes, you can do those things, but I want to just say that it's okay to find time to enjoy yourself, and you shouldn't feel guilty about doing that. That's what pride is. That's how it got started. That's why at Stonewall they were throwing bricks at the cops and telling them to get out of here because this was a space. Stonewall was a space to enjoy each other's company, to be in community, to have queer joy, to be authentic and ourselves. And so I think that it is perfectly fine and I encourage it. And I'm trying to do it myself where I'm carving out those moments to say, I'm going to enjoy this right now. I'm going to have queer joy. It is political. I don't want to feel guilty about doing that. And it's not you shouldn't feel guilt about doing that. It is very necessary. We need to give ourselves that opportunity and that time to be authentic, to be ourselves, and to be joyful about it, whether that is by yourself on a Friday evening or whether that is in with community with a whole bunch of folks on a Saturday afternoon or a Saturday evening, which is another thing we want to talk about, which is be in community. I think Jim and I noticed this when we were live at Queermunity on the day of the inauguration. We did our live broadcast there, and we were thinking we were just going to sort of pack up and go home after it was over. But we actually ended up talking to a few friends, and then talking to a few friends led to, I'm hungry. Let's get something from the cafe. And then we ended up just sitting there talking for a couple hours, I think. We didn't really the broadcast ended at 3. We didn't really get out of there until 5. And that was I wasn't planning on doing that, but that was so nice to just be there and to be in conversation with them. And so, I think what that is going at is like not letting ourselves get isolated from each other. Like, don't feel like you have to stay home and be hunkered down as well. Like, find those opportunities to go to a concert, go to Trans Day of Rage that MTHC was having, a few weeks ago, like those types of events. It's really important right now not to feel isolated.
And to get out and don't be in denial. That's what there's a lot of people that I was just reading an article about the fact that the administration doesn't want people reminded of Trump's promise to bring food prices down. So I'm mentioning it now so that you remember that he promised to bring food prices down and has no ability to do that. Just an empty promise. But
we will continue to talk about egg prices on the show.
You have to keep from the natural tendency to want to pull a blanket over your head and lie there for 4 years, and you can't. So these moments of queer joy are about getting back up after that, after you're rejuvenated, and putting your shoulder to it and giving him hell. You know what I mean?
Yes. Reminding people all the time what he promised and how he's not delivering and was never going to deliver in the first place.
Right.
Now, here's a fun story. I do want to hear from you as we're going to go into our next story here. But if you're listening, I want to hear how you are planning on having queer joy. How are you planning on your self-care? What are those things that you're doing? 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205, or you can put it in the chat on our YouTube live stream. But here's a fun story. So Hector Luis Valdez Cocho, a Cuban dissident, happens to be gay, big Trump supporter, according to reports. I heard about this story this morning on the Stephanie Miller show. Apparently, he has been arrested and turned over to ICE. Oh, wow. Now, apparently, Cuba doesn't have to take him back, which means that he could actually be sent to Guantanamo, because apparently Trump wants to send undocumented folks to Guantanamo. Now, I have been trying to verify his immigration status, and I haven't really been able to find something. But according to the Spanish language news site America Noticias Diario Miami, he was arrested on November 19th and he was allegedly taking out loans and not paying them back.
Well, I read a description of him that he's a journalist and a critic of the Cuban government. And the only thing that makes me uncomfortable about this is that Cuba would be thrilled for him to be arrested and sent back to them so they could kill him. And there is poetic justice in saying that this pro-Trump person is being arrested by Trump's goons and sent to something terrible. I don't think we should ever send anybody to Guantanamo or back to a country that's going to kill them. But those are not American values as far as I'm concerned. But I am a little worried about whether this guy is also being treated this way because of who he's critical of, as opposed to maybe he's just a scofflaw. I don't know. But do you know what I mean? It's not clear.
And that's something that I wanted to. First of all, I wish that Obama had succeeded in closing Guantanamo.
Yes.
8 years, never was able to get it done. But I think that we're all sort of on the same page that if you're defrauding people, which are the allegations against this gentleman, taking advantage of them financially, committing crimes, then it is fair to assess your visa, to assess your green card. You should be entitled to a fair trial. You are entitled to a competent legal defense. You are entitled to a jury of your peers. But again, at the same time, though, I want to reiterate there are not hordes of undocumented immigrants coming to the United States to commit crimes. I feel like I'm compelled also to say if you want to go to the Brennan Center for Justice, they put together an impressive collection of studies showing that undocumented immigration does not increase violent crime, that crime rates in sanctuary cities, there is no discernible difference between them when you compare them to other cities that don't have sanctuary policies. And actually, fun fact, undocumented immigrants are 33% less likely to be incarcerated than people born in the United States. Now, obviously, facts and data don't matter anymore. We can just say whatever we want, and half this country will believe it. But it is I understand why this story is blowing up as an FAFO, F around and find out situation. And I know there's a lot of people that are relishing in the fact that here is somebody who was a big Trump supporter who's now being arrested and will be deported under, Trump's immigration laws. There was another story that was like this. I saw it on Blue Sky. It was the Philly Inquirer that was reporting about a restaurant in, let's see here, it was the Philly Inquirer, a North Philly car wash. The owner was employing undocumented workers and said that no one would ever thought that this would happen. What was the happening? And ICE raided the car wash and arrested all of the undocumented workers there. And the owner, Jeffrey Lee, was saying, quoted in the Philly Inquirer, "I thought the administration was going after violent criminals. These people are innocent, honest, hardworking people. These are human beings. No one ever thought that this would happen." Wait, didn't somebody tell you this was going to happen? Didn't tens of millions of Democratic voters, Harris Walls voters, tell you this was going to happen?
I have an addendum to that too, not to that same story, but Representative Maria Elvira Salazar from Florida, a congresswoman from Florida, is saying that she's urging Trump or the Department of Homeland Security to spare some migrants from the Latin American and Caribbean regions, because in Florida, if they remove all the illegal immigrants there, the estimates are they're talking about 1.1 million people, which not only would that put an end to, in many ways, Republican control of that state, because I think the results would be
undocumented workers can't vote.
No. I'm talking about people whose businesses, whose economy, whose customers, whose livelihoods would be negatively impacted. That's why she's saying, if you rile this up too much, we're going to have trouble getting reelected.
Well, entire industries are going to, farming will be that's the one that gets me the most is farmers who refused and denigrated us for wanting to have comprehensive immigration reform, that wanted to have visas that allowed for their workers to have documented status. They denigrated us. They called us, open borders. You're horrible. You're letting in all the, criminals and rapists and drug dealers and blah, blah, blah. Now upset like this here in Florida, which the story you're telling us about, which is, well, wait a minute, not our undocumented workers.
Not the good ones, whatever that means. Right. Well, I'm just adding another voice. We haven't heard from her before. She's another voice saying the same thing. And I'm sure we're going to keep hearing this. I had no idea he was going to do that, but you had to have. If you were paying any attention, you didn't want to know, or you chose not to know, or you paid attention to a source that has never told you the truth. And so you're uninformed. And now you're going to get it right between the eyes, because that was always their intention, was removing every illegal immigrant, violent or otherwise, in this country. That is Stephen Miller's dream. He goes to sleep at night and dreams of that happening, and he's getting his wish because 77 million people voted for it.
I want to be mindful that undocumented folks, this idea of illegality is contested concept here. But yeah, it's a when you don't want to be serious about how you're voting, and you want to willfully ignore facts, and you want to willfully ignore what the candidate is telling you that he's going to do. He so very clearly said on the campaign trail what he was going to do. He's doing it. And now suddenly people are like, well, he's going to do the thing that he said he was going to do? How dare he? I didn't vote for that.
Well, and I want to echo something that you've said. All this reporting about this Republican congresswoman is so factual. None of them are saying bald-faced hypocrite, Maria, whatever. You know what I mean? They're not putting it in any context. They're like, oh, she's very upset that this is happening, as though acting themselves like they're not astonished she would have the nerve to make herself look like that kind of fool. Mm-hmm. But people are doing it all over the place. Oh, I had no idea. It's frightening that they're not being called to account. So let's call them to account. Anyone that says they didn't know is a fool. I think Matt McNeil has used the word idiot. I'll use that too. You're an idiot if you didn't know what Trump was going to do.
Well, we are coming up on a break here. We are going to talk in the last section about it's time to run for something. Whether it's your library board, school board, being on a nonprofit board, and yes, running for office. It's time to take back power. You are listening to The Gailey Show on AM 950, KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota. If you go to shoprainbowrd.com, you will find an amazing variety of adult novelties, literally thousands of items that you can peruse in the privacy of your home and have shipped to your door. Plus, in the store, you can find swimwear, casual wear, underwear, everywhere. Rainbow Road is located at 109 West Grand Street near Loring Park. Gift cards are available for the hard to shop for. Go to shoprainbowrd.com.
This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, weekdays at 5 p.m. On our show, you'll hear about Native issues like treaties, protecting Mother Earth, and holding our elected officials accountable. Weekly correspondents like Dr. Stately, State Senator Mary Kunesh, Robert Lilligren, and Bob Blake update us with the latest news from Turtle Island. Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Listen weekdays at 5 p.m. or watch the show on Native Roots Radio social media accounts. Ho-wah!
Greg Bakken here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey bacon avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com.
You may not think of it, but winter is a great time to take care of those exterior home projects. This is Chad, owner of AM 950 for Snap Construction. Most people wait until the warmer months for their exterior home projects, but labor costs are actually lowest in the winter. And that's true for the contractor I trust, Snap Construction. arguably the most well-reviewed exterior contractor and insulation contractor in the metro. Are you noticing ice dams on your house, or is your furnace constantly running and you're still not comfortable? In addition to your exterior home projects, winter is also a great time to get your insulation checked with a free energy audit from Snap Construction. The average cost to upgrade your insulation is oftentimes less than a new furnace. Plus, there are rebates available from your energy provider when you upgrade your insulation. As always, Snap Construction stands by their work with a lifetime craftsmanship warranty. So don't wait for prices to rise in the warmer months. Get a free estimate now by calling 612-333-SNAP, 612-333-SNAP, or go to snapconstruction.com.
Hi, I'm Bruce Klopfleisch, a college political science instructor and attorney. Join me every Sunday at 5 p.m. for Politics Matters. We dive into how civics, politics, and law affect you. Discover how government impacts your daily life from the federal level all the way down to your local city. Each week, I'll share my key takeaways and teaching moments on crucial civics concepts to help understand what is happening in the current political environment. That's Politics Matters with Bruce Klopfleisch, Sundays at 5 p.m. or anytime on your favorite podcast app.
Welcome back to The Gailey Show. I'm JP D'Arpagosian. In studio with me is Jim Pounds. All right, folks, it is time to take back power. I don't care if it's at the library board, school board, you're joining a nonprofit board, and yes, you are running for office. If you are sitting there and thinking, I don't like all these book bans, you are already infinitely qualified to run for a library advisory board. But how does that work? How do you run for your school board? Well, it starts with, first of all, going to the website. So here I have pulled up the website of my local library that I am a member of. And they sit there and tell me what is the advisory. So this has a library advisory board. So they advise the Ramsey County Board of Commissioners. Now, every library does a little bit different. Some library boards control the library and all of its operations. Sometimes it's like this situation where the advisory board advises the Ramsey County Board of Commissioners on the running of the library. The first step in this, I think, is immediately going through the agenda and the minutes for the board that you're looking at, because you want to get a sense of what are they talking about. And if it's a public entity like a library, like a school board and others, they have to make those minutes available. I used to be, a long time ago, I was on the Food and Nutrition Commission of Ramsey County. How I got started with that is I was really interested in food policy, and I was looking into, what that meant for my local community. So I started by reading the minutes, seeing what do they actually talk about here. You can go to the next step is going to the meetings. Go to the meetings and just observe and see what's happening there. And if you're not seeing things that you would be like, hey, wait, I think that these should be here, you can get up and you can talk about it in the public comment section of a meeting, particularly if it's a public agency. But you can do that, and you can get to know them, and you can begin to say, yeah, this is something that I want to put in an application for. This is something that I want to run for. Even if no matter what it is, you need to consider doing it right now. And that's why I also love the website runforsomething.net. Yep. And this is a site that's specifically for progressives. If you care, now I love right off the bat, when you go to their website, they're like, throw everything you know about politics out the window. You are qualified to run for local office, and they are there to help. And I was really impressed. They have endorsed over 3,500 candidates across the 50 states and DC since 2017. And they have also elected over 1,000 candidates across 48 states since 2017. So they will help show you what opportunities they are. They have a database of candidates that you can look for, the open maps that are available. But if you were someone who sat there and thought, I've never been on anything before. Like, I'm not qualified to be on a library board. I'm not qualified to be on a school board. I'm not qualified to run for office. Actually, you might very well be. And when we look at the folks that MAGA is putting up here, who are disproportionately unqualified
Right.
to be doing these things. You know, if you have kids in a school, then I think you are qualified to be on a school board.
Yeah.
If you go to the library and you use the library services, you are qualified to be on that advisory board or on the board managing the library.
They've lowered the bar considerably, but I considered, as you know, JP, running for the Wisconsin Assembly at one point. And I'll tell you one thing that surprised me, because there wasn't really a way for me to learn. Maybe I wasn't going to the right websites or whatever to get some sort of prep. But one of the things you have to do is go out and get signatures on a petition to be able to submit enough signatures that there's interest in your candidacy to be able to get, participate in the primary. And so that's something I encourage everybody to do, is expand your network of people you know. And if you're really shy, that might be hard to do, but it's really worth talking about your opinions and learning from other people and having a lot of people know who you are, being as social as you can, being as visible as you can. And that would make that process of getting signatures on a petition, rather than standing in front of a grocery store or something to try to do that, that to me seemed a little daunting, but there's lots of those little tricks that once you understand them, you can create a plan of how to run for office.
Well, and depending on where you're at, the local party may be able to help you with
At the
that.
county
I
level,
know that
yeah.
like at outstate Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, those areas where they can't find folks who are willing to run
right
for those, the party is actually, we're very well equipped to be able to help with the gathering of those signatures and to support with a candidacy.
And we've finally woken up to the idea that there should not be a district where we do not have a candidate. So, that's something that Democrats were a little careless about, in my opinion, in the past, or the party was. And so now the attitude is we need to put somebody up who can, express our values and be a legitimate alternative to what is a horrific option. And I think you'll find there's more encouragement than discouragement if you show some interest in that. And if you're in any way feeling helpless, this is a way where you can feel like you get a little of your power back. And I think they raise money for folks, and they help them with sort of structure and all that stuff, and putting together position papers and all that. And it's a lot of work to run for office, I think, but it's
when you're looking for
empowering.
those big offices, yes, I think. But when you're looking at school boards and library boards and being on a board of a nonprofit, you can go to a nonprofit's website.
Well, that's easy.
And you can see when they have elections coming up. You don't. I mean, election meaning you put in an application, you do an interview with a couple board members, and then the board members put forward a recommendation of whether you should be joining the board or not joining the board. So there are a variety, but we need to start finding ways. I'm not just doing this as a segment. We need to start finding ways of taking back power, to getting progressives all across local government, from local all the way up to the top there. We're going to keep talking about this, and hopefully we'll be able to get someone on here from runforsomething.net. In the meantime, we hope that you have a good rest of your day. Take care of yourselves. Find ways to practice queer joy. We will be back here tomorrow at 2 p.m. We're going to talk about the Wisconsin Supreme Court race. Ugh. But for right now, stay tuned for the Matt McNeil Show. And then after that, stay tuned for Native Roots Radio. Bye, everybody.
Happy anniversary, Gordy.
I love the Toyota Sienna Hybrid